Okay, it's 5 o'clock. We're gonna call the meeting to order. Kathleen, would you mind leading us in the pledge?
Sure. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks, Kathleen. Okay, let's do a roll call. Zalika, can you
Okay,
just call the-
Chair John Wizard, absent. Vice Chair Hans Buder,
present?
Commissioner Kevin Healy,
Present.
Commissioner Kathleen Ballesteros,
Present.
Commissioner Viviana Gama, Commissioner Viviana Gama. Okay, absent. Commissioner Francine Goodwin.
I'm present.
Okay, and that concludes the roll call vote.
Okay, we'll move on to item 3, which is comments from the public. Is there anyone from the public wishing to speak? John, you have 3 minutes.
Yes, good afternoon, Vice Chair and Commissioners. This comment is with respect to Ms. Boykin's memo to the board dated as of February 13th. That particular memo, within, among other points it raises, references Michi AA's billing of some $65,000 plus, representing Parkside's vacancy losses, that it was not paid because it was not part of a partnership agreement. A couple of facts that I want to point out here. One, this is not anything to do with the partnership agreement. It's a developer agreement. And secondly, I possess emails from Ms. Gomez that not only did she authorize the agreement to offset relocation expenses, she also wrote emails stating that it would be part of the construction budget. Further, these aren't the dollars of the 65,000 billing aren't my figures. They're HACM/HDCs rather. Given the above, I would hope that HACM would honor its agreement that it made historically to offset its relocation expenses building Parkside 1. And because the billing was made back in January 12th, and to me, I don't see an argument, a valid one, why it should not be paid. Am I not correct?
Are you asking?
I'm asking, yes.
Sorry, this is just public comment. It's not a dialogue. So we'll have to take that offline. John, did you want to continue speaking?
I need an answer to go back to my board because my board meeting is going to be on March 8th. And when I tell them that the only way I found out about this was through a note on HACM's website, they're going to be less than pleased based upon the fact that there's no valid reason for it not to be honored unless HDC had no authority to enter in such an agreement to begin with. I actually need an answer post haste, not necessarily this evening, but if I don't get one soon, I won't really have much of an option, but perhaps to file a lien on the property.
Okay, well, we will have Ms. Boykin, she will follow up with you offline.
Thank you. Hopefully by tomorrow. Thank you.
Thanks, John.
Okay.
Okay, are there any other members of the public wishing to speak tonight? Gabby, anybody on the line?
There was supposed to be someone on, but I don't see them on here.
Correct.
I'm right here.
Oh, there we go. Yes, we have Irene on the line.
Sorry, my video isn't working. I hope everybody could hear me. Good afternoon, Zalika Boykin and the Board of Commissioners. My name is Irene Bañuelos, and I work in the finance department. I have been back from a wrongful termination since November 6, 2023. I have reached out to Kim Schuhorn, interim finance director, on February 9th, 2023. And I also reached out to James Cabrera, interim HR director, on February 11th, 2023, via email to restore me back to my specific duties as requested compliance with my arbitration award dated August 24th, 2022. I also would like to request from the board compliance with my arbitration award dated August 24th, 2022. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other members of the public wishing to speak tonight? Okay. Well, we are going to move on to item 4, which is a presentation to Diana Ruiz for 25 years of service. Looks like Diana may be on the line here. I just would say really impressive. I think one of the things that always strikes me in these meetings is how many folks we have at the agency who've been here for quite a long time, which I think is a source of strength. So Diana, the floor is yours. We really appreciate your service, and let us know if you have anything to say.
Hello, sorry, just a little nervous, but I just want to thank you. Been here a long time, and I hope to continue.
Diana, I may have missed this, but which department are you in?
In the Section 8 department.
Great, awesome. Well, I mean, I would just say, I know others will have similar comments, but that's a pretty solid career to devote to families in Monterey County that are in desperate need of housing. So we really appreciate all of your service. 25 years, so congratulations.
Thank you.
We're going to move on to item 5, which is the consent agenda. And the only thing that we have is approval of the minutes of the special board meeting from January 18th, 2023. Would anybody like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the special board meeting on January 18th, 2023.
I'll second that. This is Viviana.
Okay, it's been moved by Commissioner Ballesteros and seconded by Commissioner Gama. Could we have a roll call, please?
Okay, Chair John Wizard, absent. Vice Chair Hans Buder,
Yes.
Commissioner Kevin Healy,
Yes.
Commissioner Kathleen Ballesteros,
Yes.
Commissioner Viviana Gama,
Yes.
Commissioner Francine Goodwin.
Yes.
And thank you. That ends the roll call vote.
Okay, so we are going to move on to item 6, which is reports of committees. Personnel Committee, Commissioner Ballesteros.
Everything that is on the agenda in regards to the personnel committee is there.
Okay, Finance and Development Committee, Commissioner Gama.
We did have a meeting, and we did bring some information to the board as well. So it'll be spoken at the time of those reports.
Great. And then I think our representative is Commissioner Wizard from Michi and Michi AA. Zulika, did you have anything to add there, or can we just wait for John to get back next month?
No, I just wanted to add that I had some meetings with John Rose and Nancy, and one with Ms. Starla Warren, just talking about the MOU and trying to work out some items between both of the organizations. And then we have a meeting scheduled for this Wednesday at 2 o'clock to further the discussion.
Great. Okay. Well, we are going to, does anybody have any questions on the reports before I move on? Any commissioners? Okay, we're going to move on to item 7, which is a report of the secretary.
Okay. Let me start off with the Coalition of Homeless Service Providers. We've been working with them. I've been talking to Genevieve. She's the ED over there a lot, especially in reference to the EHV program, because we're trying to identify all the barriers that are in place that is keeping us from being at a high utilization. So we've had several meetings. We've upped the number of referrals, and everybody has a list of responsibilities with the partner agencies and how the vouchers are processed. So hopefully we'll be able to get all of those out very soon. And then also we've been talking about PDM property, the grant, and just other services that we could do together. It's been a really positive partnership. For the San Francisco HUD field office, we had our meeting and the PBV training for the staff, which started on February the 13th and ended on the 16th. So that was the training that was required for the violation waiver that we had in conjunction with the city. That's been concluded. From that training, we hope to get additional training for the HCV department that HUD will sign off on as technical assistance. And then also the waivers for the 120%. And then to be able to do the increases in the interim, we found out that those ended December 31st, 2022. So I sent in a request and it was approved so that we could have those waivers in place, which will let us increase the payment standards to what we initially wanted them to be for this upcoming year. So those waivers were in December 31st, 2023. And that should be able to help us with utilization and put us in a good position for the voucher program. Then we've been working with the city of Salinas. We got a development project we looking at. It's for Division Street. Right now we focus on the pre-development costs and trying to see what type of funding is out there to assist with that development. And if it is a viable development project, I'll bring it back to the board for approval and let you know all of the funding sources and what we really intend to do. It's something that they were working on before, and the Teamsters were supposed to be a part of it, but they haven't been very cooperative. And I really think it's just because they're waiting to see the funding sources to kind of see how they'll fit in. But the city's been working with us a lot on that. So that's wonderful. And then we're working with the city on the home key project in the PBV units. We're working with them to do a MOU together and to meet the other conditions of HUD's waiver. All of that has been going very well. We recently got a 60-day extension and the city requested one as well. So that'll put us into the end of April before all the documents are due. And I think we're gonna have a meeting. I want to say it's like in a week or two, because we got some classes we got to take online as well. So the staff is assisting with that and the city staff is working on it. So right now, all of that's going fine in place. For HACM, we've been doing weekly staff meetings. I also met with the union to discuss monthly meetings with them and some of the changes that's going to take place and getting ready for the negotiations we're going to have in April. I met with the procurement department to talk about the spending, accounts payable, and the care cards. I'm going to reduce the number of people that have care cards, and we're going to stop spending for a while in order to get the accounts payables up to date, and then put in a process to keep us on track. I met with the department heads to discuss their program goals and objectives and expectations. We're going to make that another meeting in about a month to see what type of progress has been made. And then in the meantime, I'm having meetings with all of the staff in those departments just to get some feedback. We're gonna do yardage training in all the departments because we got too many manual processes. So that'll help us with efficiency. We had too many units in the yardage system. So the HCV program is in the process of getting taking out the units that should be excluded so that we can try to get reimbursed or at least stop paying for the units in yardage. So that'll be a substantial savings. It initially looked like we got 1,695 units, in excess, which is about $42,000. But I have to verify that once they actually exclude them out, it might not be that high because they may need the units. But it was just like every time they wanted a new unit, they purchased one instead of kind of recycling the ones that was already in place. And we can use the money that we save to get Rent Cafe and Pay Scan, which is gonna help all departments. Had a meeting about the HELP loan. The HELP loan is $506,000. And every year, the Housing Authority has been getting an extension. So they were paying about $100,000 to get an extension on making the payment for the $506,000 that's tied to some property that's in Greenfield. We actually got 6 extensions, so we paid right around $600,000 in extensions and still have a balance of $506,000. So me and Ms. Shehorn talked to them about it. We're waiting to hear back, but we should get a repayment agreement that'll allow us to pay it off in the next 3 years. And so that way we won't have to, pay an extension fee anymore, and it'll be easier financially for the agency to pay it off once and for all. And we're also looking at that property to see if we can do any type of development or what would be the best course of action, because it's just been vacant in Greenfield. Let's see, One Parkside has an outstanding draw for $1.5 million, and Chase Bank has not approved it because they want the fiscal year 2020 and 21 audit. We did have a meeting with them to discuss it. It seemed like it was going kind of well, but unfortunately, we did hear back today that they will not process the draw until they get the 2021 audit, which we are going to start hopefully by the end of this week. I will reach out again to still try to persuade them to go ahead and make the payment. But as of the day, they did come back and said that their superiors still would not approve the drawdown. And I know y'all like, this is kind of long. I'm almost finished. Then let's see. Oh, Jose and Kim was working on some COVID expenses. HUD Multifamily put out where you could try to get reimbursed for COVID expenses from March 2020 up until today. This was the 5th round, and it was the last chance to get reimbursed. HACM had never got reimbursed, so we sent in reimbursements going all the way back to March 2020, and we're waiting to see if they're gonna pay the whole thing or just pay the cap. But that would be some more money in operating expenses for the property. And then I think I kind of already jumped ahead, but I met with John Rose and Nancy and Wendy Askew, and we talked about the split and the MOU, and then we made a standing meeting. So we have had a meeting to discuss the MOU, what is Meech's priority and things of that nature. And this is also, we issued out 2 checks, but the third request was referencing some vacancy laws, which was not a part of the partnership agreement and is not included in the AHAP contract. And that's the reason why it wasn't paid. But I will talk with Mr. Rose about that some more. And then just miscellaneous items, looking at Highland Knight from Knight Development to send in a proposal to come in and look at the development arm and some of the deals I want them to look over to see if it's a way for us to change the financial structure and put the agency in a better light and just assess HDC as a whole. 2 of the employees from HDC have been temporarily assigned to the HCV department. Since they're not doing any development at this time, it's not such a heavy workload over there, and we needed help in the Section 8 department. So they're in the Section 8 department until further notice. Gabby has taken over the board packets for HDC. This should make the board meetings run more efficiently, and which I think has already made a tremendous difference. I'm working with the FSS coordinator to try to get the supportive services off the ground for the voucher holders. And we did get awarded for 2 coordinators, so we will be hiring another one, but all of those expenses are covered in the grant. And then Human Resources is creating a newsletter that we can distribute to all the employees so everybody will know what's going on, what changes are taking place, and then hopefully that'll enhance the communication and transparency for the agency. And that is it.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Zalika about the executive report? Well, I just had a comment. I thought that was, I've been doing this now for, I guess, 3 years, but that's the best executive report I've had just in terms of detail, going over a month of operations for the agency honestly should take 10 minutes, right? If you have something that has 3 bullet points on it, it's honestly insufficient. So I really appreciate that level of detail. So thank you. I saw a few different things that have changed this board packet and, continue to commend those adjustments. So we're going to move on to item 8, which is new business. Item 8A is request for HACM to be a temporary relocation site in case of an emergency or disaster for a family child care operation.
Yeah, it's a local daycare that want to use the facility as a emergency shelter. I would like to check with the insurance company first of all to see if that's going to impact our insurance if we do agree. But before I did anything, I want to know how the board felt if this was something they even wanted to look into. Personally, I've never had the housing authority used as a relocation site. Sometimes we've had like gyms and places like that, and they were used, but never the authority itself. But whatever is the will of the board, I will move forward with that, and I will check with the insurance also.
Okay, do folks have some comments? Board commissioners?
I have a question. Is there a nearby school that she can use?
I'm not really sure. I would need some of the staff to chime in on that because I'm still kind of getting familiar with the surroundings.
Yeah.
I think it is a school kind of close by, but Maria, I see you shaking your head. Is there?
Yes, there is. There's one down the street by Larkin Street. There's a school there.
Because I'm wondering if maybe this individual has maybe looked into that. It just seems kind of odd to me that they would request this. And where would we put them? I mean, where would the children go?
Yeah, and that's along the lines that I was thinking, Francine, because most of the time it's a, like a gym or a community center or something
Right.
like that. But again, being new to the area, I'm still wasn't sure like what all was around.
Right.
So
What
if
was
a school
available?
is around, that would be a much better choice.
I don't know. I read it and it didn't make sense to me, personally, that she would request that. And she's not, she's a private daycare in her home, right? If I'm understanding this correctly.
I think so.
Yeah, that's how I understood it. I don't know. I think she needs to, try other options personally, because I don't think housing authority is, because if we do it for her, we're going to have to do it for other people. And, I don't mean to be cruel. I mean, I've worked in daycare. So, I mean, I know, it's challenging. And, I mean, this is a business office. It's not we don't even have the facilities to really to accommodate them. I don't know. I'm not comfortable with it. That's just my personal opinion.
Okay, Commissioner Ballesteros?
Yes, I believe because of the address that stated in the document, she probably thought of it as a closer area. And then she's stating that there's only 6 children. And it might not be counting whoever helps her out if she has an assistant. So you're probably only looking like about maybe 8 to 10 persons. And maybe because the area of the housing authority is a safe location where maybe the parents are more familiar. And then 2, because remember the housing authority has the county of Monterey. So maybe in her mind, she's thinking that it's something that maybe it's somewhere where she feels that the county can provide that. So maybe she did go to the school, but I'm not really sure unless Zalika and her staff look into it. So I fully understand why she probably, because of the street, Sansom is close to, maybe closer to the housing authority than to the school. Thank you.
Other comments from commissioners?
I would probably concur with Commissioner Goodwin at this point. It seems unfeasible and likely better options for that particular facility.
Thanks. I would agree with that as well. Okay, unless there are no other questions on that one, we are going to move on to item 8B, which is resolution 3082, resolution to open an HCV bank account.
Yes, right now we do have a HCV bank account, but we get 2 deposits from HUD each month. So I would like to open an additional HCV bank account in order to separate the monies. They send us our admin fees and they send us our HAP payment. So I would like to separate the admin fees, which are unrestricted and where we pay salaries and things of that nature, from the restricted funds, which are the housing assistance payments. This is also going to help with the training that we're doing on the VMS and how HCV and finance works together. Also, it will show the staff, it'll make more sense as to why each one has a different set of FDS numbers, and it's just better record keeping. I think we'll have more accuracy, and then it'll also let us examine the program for HCV monthly, because you can look at the monies that you get from the HAP disbursement and kind of tell if you're utilizing your vouchers or not, if you got some deficiencies, things like that. And then with the admin money, you can look at it and see how bad your reserves are, because if you build too many reserves, then it's a chance to get them offset, or you running the department correctly. So opening another account will really help with the HCV program. And I want to open it at Mechanics Bank.
Any comments on, my packet doesn't actually include a specific resolution, but any comments on that discussion, that new business item about a new bank account for the HCV program?
I have a question. Would this, what you're saying basically is it would fine tune the funds better? I mean, rather than have everything compiled into one barrel, in a
Yes,
sense?
ma'am. It would, because HUD send you a schedule every month. And, just for example, they'll say we deposited $1 million in HAP money. And then they might say we gave you $100,000 in admin money. So if you have them in 2 separate accounts, it's easier to reconcile the accounts and always know how much money you have for each one. And then since one is restricted and one is unrestricted, just looking at the balances and keeping up the money can also give you, an idea as to how the program running before you even look at the voucher utilization.
It makes sense to me, but I don't know what the other commissioners, would think. But, on a financial basis, it sounds like it would be, would make everybody's job a lot easier.
Yeah, especially for the
financially.
VMS. The VMS is a tool that have to be did every month by the 22nd, specific to the HCV program. We got a new person that's learning how to do it. It was some problems in the tools that was submitted last year. So by separating the accounts, it'll help with that reporting as well.
Right. Okay. Yeah, anything that would make everybody's job easier. I'm on board. So, but okay, that's my 2 cents.
Okay, thanks, Commissioner Goodwin. Any other questions or comments from other commissioners? Okay, would anybody like to make a motion?
I'd like to make a motion that we pass the resolution to open a HCV bank account.
Is there a second? I'll second it. It's been moved and seconded. Can we please have a roll call vote?
Vice Chair Hans Luder,
Yes.
Commissioner Kevin Healy,
Yes.
Commissioner Kathleen Bellastros,
Yes.
Commissioner Viviana Gama,
Yes.
Commissioner Francine Goodwin,
Yes.
and Commissioner John Wizard is absent. That concludes the roll call vote.
We're going to move to item 9, which is discussion, and we're going to talk about in-person meetings.
Yeah, this will be the last meeting that we can have totally remote. The governor has lifted the state of emergency as of February 28th. And so according to AB, let me pull my little note, wait a minute. According to AB 361 and AB 2449, we can have a hybrid meeting. That way, we can still do remote for people that need to be remote, but the majority of us will be in person at the office located at 123 Rico Street. For the ones that do need to go remote, there are certain conditions that have to be met, and then we'll write a letter or put the statement in the board minutes. Depending on which reason you use for having a remote meetings, then that'll tell us the conditions you have to do it. Because in some conditions, you have to have an agenda posted at your home and say this is a public area and open it up to the public to actually attend the meetings. But I think if you had a physical reason why you were not able to attend, you didn't have to do that. But we'll just have to get into it and go by commissioner, determining what the reason is and why you would need to have it remote. If we do hybrid meetings for some of the ones who might not be able to come in all the time, but can come sometime, maybe you might want to rotate so that everybody doesn't have to be there every meeting, but it's completely up to the board. But that we will have to start that for the next meeting.
Okay, so Zulika, is the objective here for commissioners to try to come up with some kind of policy, might not be the right word, but a way for us to organize this if there's some type of rotation?
Yeah, if you want to do a rotation, then, we could get something, because you can miss 2 meetings and then you have to come for the next one. But that's if your just cause for not attending is childcare, family caregiver, traveling, things like that. So I think what probably would be best if we kind of see what the reason is. Each commissioner would not be able to attend, and then we could do a document and the board can review it. And then once y'all review it, you can decide, I'm going to go to this meeting and this person going to go to that meeting, or for other reasons, I will not be attending any. And so me and Gabby can just kind of have a conversation with everybody to see if they missed a meeting, what reason that'll be, and draft up a document and send it out so we'll have it ready well before the next board meeting. But we do have to do it for the next meeting. Now, we do have the committee meetings. We don't always have the committee meetings, but they will fall under this as well.
Questions from commissioners about this topic?
I think I discussed with you the last meeting we had about my concerns
Yes,
about
ma'am.
it's I don't, like I said, I told you I don't drive, and so I have to use public transportation, and I've been compromised by COVID also, and so it's like I limit my comings and goings as much as possible. And so can you connect with me at some point so that I can put in whatever request or whatever it is I need to do to try and keep doing the remote meetings.
Yes, ma'am. We just have to do a letter, and it say it have to be 20 words, disclosing why you can attend. And then we'll put that in the record. In that way, it'll cover you for not coming to the meetings.
Okay, so like I can email you something?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and how soon do you need that?
If you could send something by next week, Monday, that's fine. Because
Okay,
this is in preparation for the next set of meetings that's coming up.
okay, so by next Monday, okay, I'll try and get it to you sooner.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. Because as long as we have a quorum at the physical location, we'll be able to do this. And,
Okay.
you know, some of the reasons, like I said, is child care, you the primary caregiver for your family, physical, mental disability, travel that's preventing you to be in person. It's a lot of options to why you can miss a meeting or have it remotely. And then again, just depending on which option it is, that would determine what we have to do next.
Okay, all right.
Okay, Commissioner Ballesteros, you had a question?
Yes, I'll be able to attend the meetings in person, any meeting.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
yes, ma'am.
Other questions from commissioners? Zulika, I just wanted to clarify one thing. Regardless of whether someone has a just cause reason for not being there, it falls into one of those safe harbors. Regardless of those things, you have to have a quorum in person. Is that right? Am I reading that right? So even if 4 people fell into the, the safe harbor of whatever it was, that doesn't work. There have to actually be 4 HACM commissioners in person.
Yeah, that's one reason why I thought it was a good idea before when you mentioned about maybe like rotating. So that way somebody who normally has to travel a lot for business for the authority or something like that, they could plan which meeting they're gonna miss and we still make sure we have a quorum on site.
Okay, so the next step here is you're gonna reach out to commissioners individually and then put together some
Yeah,
options.
draft up a document.
Great. Okay, well, unless there's any other questions or comments from commissioners on that one, we're going to move on to item 10, which is information. We'll move on to item 10A, which is schedule for PHA annual plan, July 2023, information only.
Yeah, Lucilla been working very hard on this. She has pretty much completed the plan and we're following this draft to the letter. So Gabby, if you can go up a little bit, we plan to have it ready for the board on March 27th. And then a finalized one on April the 14th. The residents will be able to come to HACM for the public comments and questions. And she is going to document all of that. So we'll have it in the files in case we need it for when we submit the plan. And she's also going to send it out to the county representatives that do have to look at it and put in a comment. And we'll have all that done before the final submission is given to the Board of Commissioners.
Okay. Commissioners, any questions on item 10A? Okay. Moving on to item 10B, the human resource report.
Good evening, board members. For the HR report this month, we do have some exciting things developing. For recruitment at this time, our current vacancies are Director of Finance, Director of HR, and Resident Caretaker for our Leo Myers property. We also have opened up the Housing Program Specialist position, the Family Sufficiency Coordinator, Maintenance 2, and Asset Manager positions at this time. We did recently fill the Director of Housing Management position and now have Jose Acosta as our permanent Director of Housing Management. So congratulations to Jose. We are also continuing our efforts on solidifying a candidate for the Director of Finance position. As of today, we roughly have about 4 candidates in the pipeline who have recently applied, and we are continuing our efforts with the Robert Half agency on obtaining additional candidates. The candidates that have applied in the past month in January are either not meeting the qualifications or are choosing a permanent remote positions at this time. The employee development side, and I know that Zulika touched on this earlier, however, we did have a successful meeting with the union on February 10th, discussing upcoming changes within HACM. And one of the key takeaways throughout the meeting was the lack of communication and training. To help strengthen that communication, we are developing a monthly HACM newsletter, as Zulika mentioned earlier, to showcase upcoming changes, highlighting recent events and spotlighting employee achievements overall. Training has also been our focused area, and we are looking into maximizing our Yardi Aspire system to help us navigate, isolate specific trainings for each department. Additionally, we are planning on creating training workshops for employees that will be held on a monthly and quarterly basis throughout the year to kind of help out the employees at HACM, kind of navigate them through the training courses throughout their departments. And then last but not least, we are working on developing an employee handbook that ties in all HACM's policies together rather than having a plethora of PDFs and Word docs spread out. The handbook will also consist of mostly the recent FLSA changes and California labor policies. And that is all for the HR report, unless there are any questions from the board.
Okay, hearing no questions, we're going to move on to item 10C, which is the finance report.
Hello, everybody. I've put a couple things in my finance report. We're working with BDO still on the VMS process, and we have Giovanna is taking point on that, and she'll be everything HCB for finance, and she's doing really well on that. Also, I'll be working with Carolina on some of the development fees for Tynan. We're going to do some calculations on that and get that off our plate. So then we'll be caught up with that. Also, besides some of the things that I have in my list, we finalized the 2020 audit, and we're just waiting on the adjusting entries. And then we'll be starting the 2021 audit. And that will be, all the staff will be, all the open items will be divided between the staff. And so we should be able to get it out like we did last time within a couple weeks. So also the tax returns for the 2022 limited partnerships should all be out by next week. And we also completed the 2-year budget for King City, and that went out yesterday. And we're just waiting to see if they approve it, and then we'll bring it to the board with a resolution. We'll also be working on some of the other budgets that have 6/30 year ends. So we'll be working on Portola, Pueblo Del Mar, the farm labor properties, and also HDC and HACM. So we should be starting those within the next week.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from commissioners on the property management, on the finance report? Okay, moving on to item 10D, which is the property management report.
Good afternoon, commissioners. It's been a very busy month for property management. This month, we had to complete the welfare exemptions for all the properties. Those were completed and submitted timely. And I want to thank all the team that participated in that process. Gabby, for your help, and Sandra for taking care of those welfare exemptions. I've also worked with Zulika on the OCAPs. Those were completed and submitted for her review. We're trying to get a substantial rent increase for all the RAD properties. So we're holding off on submitting those OCAPs until we get a response from the HUD representative to Zulika. And then we will submit the OCAPs formally for approval. We completed the AOCs and the POPs for the state. So those will be sent for HDC to review, and then to Zulika for signature later this month. We're waiting on the staff member that needs the notary so that she can notarize those notices that need to go to the state. We also engaged a firm to do a capital needs assessment the FLC properties, the farm labor properties in Chular and Salinas. We're looking at the CNA to determine whether we want to rehab the property or if it's best to rebuild the property and turn it into another source of funding. The property is dilapidated and it needs a lot of repairs. We submitted also rent study. We hired a company, they completed the rent study. We're pending the rent study so that we can see how much we can increase the rents on the current units. And that will also help us bring some revenue into that property and be able to put more money aside for repairs. But that's a process that we're undergoing right now. And as soon as those reports come in, we will be discussed with the executive director. We're also got submitted applications for mass annual recertifications for all the RAD sites. One of them has already been approved and we're pending on the rest of the properties. And will help us, I just focused on annual recertifications only once a year, as opposed to doing them throughout the year. So we're waiting on responses for those requests to HUD. I'm also working with Yardi on implementing mobile maintenance for all of our maintenance staff. That's something that we desperately needed, and Sulika authorized that, so we're going to be implementing that. We are going to be getting rid of paper work orders, which it's something that's really great. It's for better documentation, more organization in the department, and ultimately it's a benefit for the department and the staff that is working on a day-to-day with work orders. We're also working with the city of Salinas because there's a new ordinance, SB 1383, which is that organic recycling. For all of our sites, we have to provide organic recycling containers. We're working on with them to deploy a program at each property so that people can get educated on this new process that the city is going to implement. We want to avoid fines by the city. They will be fining agencies that don't comply, but they're working with us to try to get our tenants educated and provide all the necessary literature that they need to be able to understand the purpose of this implementation and avoid fines in the future. Also, the King City Migrant Rehab, that's happening actively right now. They have demolished all the inside of the units, the cabinets, vanities have been removed. We're pending the delivery of the cabinets so that the contractor can begin the installation. All the interior work inside the units is going to be completed in the next 30 days. They're just waiting for the delivery of the cabinets and the other materials. And then painting and repairs for the exterior have also started. That process needs to be completed by June of this year. So we're working diligently with the contractor to get that done. We're also working with the city of Salinas to complete the data reporting for the home units, the Hacienda sites. They were having a little bit of an issue with their software, so they should be giving us a green light to upload the information probably in the next week. And like James mentioned, we're also completing interviews for the caretaker position that we have in King City and for the property management, property maintenance staff that we need. Other than that, everything else is on the report unless the board has any questions for me.
One thing real quick, Jose, you didn't tell them about the COVID money that you got back.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. COVID, the COVID money that Sulika mentioned earlier, her report, we submitted the request. We already got one of the requests approved. We got approved for $72,000 that we're going to be receiving from HUD. I got another response today from another property. There needs some clarification on some of the documentation that we submitted. So as soon as I get that clarification, they will probably approve that as well, which will be an additional $50,000 to $60,000 that we will also get for that property. So, working on those processes, and trying to work with the executive director on looking for ways where the agency can be more effective without spending money from the agency. We're going to try to look for grants, other funding sources that can provide, financial help for the properties, so that we don't have to be spending money from the properties on these services. So I'll be working close with Zulika, and it's been great to have her as part of the team. She's been very helpful, and she's been great to work with. Other than that, again, if you guys have any questions, I'm here to respond to them.
Any questions on the property management report?
I have one. I live at Casanova Plaza, as you all know, and the residents have been asking about the security system that's supposed to be installed or reinstalled. And I was wondering if there was an update.
Yes, we got several vendors that went out there, Commissioner. A lot of them were unable to provide the services. A lot of them gave us quotes, and they were not able to do the work. They were shorthanded with the COVID issue. Some of them didn't have the staff. We finally found a vendor that's willing to do it, and he ordered everything. The parts are on order, but there's one part of that system that is back order, and we can't get it. All we're waiting for is one part. And as soon as the vendor receives that part, we'll have everything in hand to be able to complete the repair. They assured us that they were going to have it by the end of January, but they didn't have it. I will get another update from the vendor tomorrow, and then I will send an email to the manager so that the manager can let the tenants know when it's expected to be repaired. But that is something that's on our list to do. And I mean, I apologize greatly, but it's out of our hands at this time. We're just waiting for those parts.
I have a question. Is the we have a back driveway in the back of the building? Will that gate be secured as well?
Yes, I believe so. That was part of the whole system that needs to be secured. Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay. So it's just a matter of waiting. Yeah, I know how that goes. I have a wheelchair that had parts repaired that was needed, and it took months. So I don't know if it's a COVID thing or what it is, but okay. Anyway, thank you. That clarified that. Thank you, Jose.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Okay. Thank you, Jose, and great job on the COVID dollars.
Thank you.
Let's move on to item 10E, the development report.
Good evening, everybody. Just a couple of things. So Zulika did a really good job of reporting on the development activities that we've got going on. I'd be happy to answer any questions if anybody needs more information on any of those items. I won't go through them again, but we've been working really close together. So it's been really good working with the city and her and moving forward with the possibility of hopefully developing that piece of property with the city. And then also the HUD training that staff and I, along with other members of departments, participated in a couple of weeks ago. Over at One Parkside, we're still working with the voucher department and property management to get lease up. We are at 68 units as of today. So we've got another 12 to go, and we are in the home stretch. We've got, let's see, 3 times a week we meet now on lease up. So hopefully within the next 2 weeks, we've set a goal for everybody that within the next 2 weeks, we'll be at 100% lease up, so that we can move on to the rest of the items that we'll need in order to work on our conversion to firm financing. The contractor did get the final permits from the city on the entry gate, so that was great. The only item that is left to address is the dirt that we're working on. That should be cleared up within the next few weeks. We did get some information. There's an item on my report regarding the 123 Rico iBank clean loan. So we did get some correspondence today that looks promising. We've got a potential scope of some additional work that could be done at the main office. I'm going to work with our team and Zulika and see what we can do at the main office to come up with some additional office space. So that'll be starting up here within the next couple of weeks. So you'll probably see that, with a little bit more detail on our next month's board report. It looks like iBank is okay with what we want to propose, some additional work, and it'll be a good thing for the office because we definitely need more space and stations for staff to work in. Another thing with Tynan Village, we do have our contractor is still out there. They'll be back on site on Thursday. We have additional waterproofing that was discovered that needs to be addressed. So Access will be back on site and working with Fred, who's back to work, which is great. So we'll address those issues this week on Thursday. The metals job at Hacienda's Community Center has been completed. We've got the additional scope that needs to be done. Our architect is going to be pretty busy with, the additional work now at the main office and the additional scope to address the rest of the metals job over at Haciendas 1 and 2. All of our John Stewart properties, also John Stewart and our Paso Robles Housing Authority completed their welfare tax exemptions. Nora spent several days looking over all those forms for all of our sites. So thanks to her, we got all the corrections in and got those taken care of and off in time. And they're now working on their AOCs and POP forms that need to be submitted to TCAC as well. And there's one major capital improvement out at the MAOF, the daycare center over at Benito in Soledad. Fred's been out there a couple of times to meet with them. They have a huge, they haven't done interior improvements to that building since we opened, probably about, going on 12 years maybe. So that's going to be a big job. That's not an expense for us, but we want to make sure that they're in compliance and that they're, putting in the same items, the same specifications that we had when we first built the property. So Fred's going to work with their facilities manager for the daycare, and that's going to be happening in the next couple of months. And I think those are the big ticket items. If anybody has any questions on my report, I'd be happy to answer.
Okay. If there are no questions, we're going to move on to item 10F, which is the housing programs report.
Yes, good evening, commissioners. I just wanted to highlight some of the items that we're working in the HCV department. As far as the project-based voucher program, I did kind of change the report a little. For all the PBB waiting lists, we have close to 7,000, about 178 applications for Salinas, South County, and also the Peninsula. And we still continue to be accepting applications for the 4 and 5 bedrooms for South County and for the Salinas, because it's really hard for us to get families for those larger bedroom sizes. So we continue to have it open. We also have the 1 and 2 bedroom waiting list open for One Parkside. Staff continues to be updating the project base for all the vacancies that we have. So for for One Parkside, staff is working closely with property management so we can lease up One Parkside as soon as possible. As for the HCV program, we have close to 2,739 applicants that we're working off of. We scheduled 130 families to come in to establish their eligibility for them to get briefed and to get a voucher. Staff is also working with COC, like Zulika had mentioned. We're meeting with the executive director and some other staff to see if they could expedite more EHV referrals. They did forward us 25 referrals for San Benito. So currently they're being scheduled this week. We've also been notified by HUD that they were not going to be recapturing the $9 million from the HACM reserve. So that is great news. I also wanted to make a note for the FSS program. We have 2 participants that will be graduating. And as you could see, their total amount of their escrows, they each of them will be getting that amount. So the total comes out to $44,124 for each family. So if the commissioners have any questions on my report, I'll be happy to answer them.
Any questions on the housing programs report? I had a couple quick questions. I guess the first one was on the EHV program. When do those need to be used?
We have to use them by we received 269 vouchers. So we need to try to lease them up by the end of December 31st of 2023.
Okay.
So we are trying our best and working, like Zulika had mentioned, we've had meetings with COC to try to see if we could get more referrals and also work with the partner agencies to try to help our clients try to get the paperwork or to find them.
Okay. And then how many new vouchers did we issue last month? Not just in general, not EHV in particular.
I would have to check on that and I could email you. For you just want for last month?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Would you like us to just start putting that on the report? Because since we kind of
Yes.
changing it up, the vouchers that was issued for that month, the new ones.
Yeah, that'd be helpful.
Okay.
And then one other comment on this report, there's, I think I've been pushing to have the success rate on there. Right now, this table, I assume it's actually a spreadsheet. It has a monthly success rate, which I think is like a meaningless number. And I think the math is probably off. When I think about the success rate, it's sort of, I think it needs to be a look back period that's longer than the search period for the voucher, like 6 months or something like that, so that we're getting accurate math on that. But aside from that, thank you so much for the report. And then I guess we're going to move on to commissioner comments. So, Commissioner Goodwin.
Thank you. I wanted to thank everybody for all their valuable information. It helped me to understand things more clearly. And I wanted to thank our new director for all her hard work, because I know this is really challenging, but you're doing a great job.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you are. I'm just you're working some really nice things for our organization, and I'm glad we have you. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Gama.
I would like to congratulate Diana Ruiz for the 25 years of service to the Housing Authority, and then to all the staff for all their good work.
Thank you. Commissioner Ballesteros.
You're gonna probably hear my grandchildren in the background. Hi. Okay, shh, grandma's in the meeting. Okay, go with mommy. Go with mommy. I'm sorry. First, I just want to congratulate Diana Reese for 25 years of her commitment and her enduring those years of serving in our community. So congrats, Diana. Also want to thank Zelika and all her staff, everything that was provided, even her executive report. I ditto what Vice Chair Buter mentioned, that's one of the best he's seen, and I agree with him. I also want to congratulate Jose on being the Director of Housing Management. Congrats to you, Jose. And then all the other staff, Maria, Carolina, Also, the ones for finance and also HR, thank you for your reports. I just want to mention Zulika or Gabby, if you could look into about the vacant board commissioner for South County, because I noticed it's been vacant since our friend Paul Miller left. So I just wanted to see if you're able to look into that, if Supervisor Chris Lopez, if he's found somebody to fill that position. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Healy?
Well, that's an extremely tough act to follow. I thought Commissioner Ballesteros' comments were very comprehensive, so I would echo her comments. Congratulations to Diana. And I would just share how much I'm looking forward to seeing you all in person again. It seems like it's been a very long time. So being able to reconvene our meetings in person is going to be a great thing.
Thank you. I think I would echo a lot of those comments. Diana, thank you for your service. 25 years is extraordinary. Congratulations, Jose. And again, I think, I appreciate that we're kind of tightening up things here. The devil really is in the details with this stuff. So catching the fact that we're spending $100,000 every year on extending a loan, spending money on units that we don't need to spend. I mean, all of those things are important, and I see a lot of that going on. So let's keep up the great work there. With that being said, I think this meeting is over. So let's adjourn the meeting at 6:06 p.m. And I think we're going to stay in the same Zoom link, and I'm going to transition over to Director Healy for the HDC meeting.
Thank you, Director Buder. Everyone comfortable just continuing on and opening our HDC meeting?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go ahead and proceed. Let's call to order the meeting of the Housing Development Corporation at 6:07. Roll call, please.
Okay, Chair Kevin Healy,
Present.
Vice Chair Francine Goodwin,
Present.
Director Kathleen Ballesteros,
Present.
Director Hans Buder,
Present.
Director Viviana Gama,
Present.
and Director John Wizard absent. That concludes the roll call.
Moving on to item number 3, comment from the public. Do we have any comments or any public? Hearing none. Moving on to the consent agenda. Looking for a motion to approve the minutes, item 4A.
I make a motion to approve the minutes from the meeting on January 23rd.
And I'll second.
Been moved by Director Buder and seconded by Director Ballesteros to approve the consent agenda. Roll call, please.
Okay. Chair Kevin Healy,
Yes.
Vice Chair Francine Goodwin,
Yes.
Director Kathleen Ballesteros,
Yes.
Director Hans Buder,
Yes.
Director Viviana Gama,
Yes.
and Director Wizard is absent. So that concludes the roll call.
Thank you very much. Moving on to our one new business item for the evening, item 5A. Resolution MDC 224, authorizing the use of digital signatures. Take it away, Zulika, please.
Thank you. We use DocuSign for most of the HACM documents. And what it does is allow us to, one, keep electronic copies of all of the things that require signature, like the resolutions, certain contracts. We have electronic files and paper files for them. And it is allowable, by HUD. So I would like to recommend that HDC approve to use digital signatures, so that we will be following the same processes as HACM, and plus it will help with efficiency and record keeping.
Thank you, Zuleika. Are there any questions on the motion? Excuse me, the resolution? Hearing none, I would entertain the motion.
I move approval of resolution MDC 224.
And I
Is there
will
a
second.
Please go ahead, Director Ballesteros.
Okay, I'll second the motion.
It's been moved by Director Buder and seconded by Director Ballesteros to approve the resolution. Roll call, please.
Kevin Healy,
Yes.
Vice Chair Francine Goodwin,
Yes.
Director Kathleen Ballesteros,
Yes.
Director Hans Buder,
Yes.
Director Viviana Gama,
Sorry, my AirPod came out.
we're just doing a roll call vote for the DocuSigns.
Oh, yes, I did hear that part. Yes.
Okay. And Director Wizard is absent, so that concludes the roll call vote.
And that concludes our new business items for this evening, which takes us to our informational items, 6A and 6B, the property management report and the development report. Are there any additional reports other than what we heard in the HACM meeting earlier from Jose or from Carolina?
No, nothing additional.
I don't have anything to add. Thank you.
Thank you both. That will take us to closed session. The board will be meeting in closed session under Government Code Section 54956.9B2, significant exposure to litigation, 2 items. Zuleika, would you take controls and lock the meeting so we can convene the closed session, please?
Okay. Let's see.